You are probably being forced to painfully let go of something that you've held on to for far too long and you're being literally dragged away from. And though it's not terrible, this full moon in Scorpio is definitely quite transformative and meaningful. So if you're excited to dive into what the astrology has to say about this full moon in Scorpio, both for you and your specific sign and for everyone, make sure that you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you are always up to date with what the stars have in store for you. If you're new here, hi, I'm Maren. I make videos on astrology. I also have daily and weekly horoscopes, as well as courses down below if you want that. And I make music too, so go stream that. Everything's down below. First, we're going to get into the overall vibe and meaning of this full moon, and then I will explain what it means for you based on your sign. So this full moon in Scorpio is happening on April 23rd, 2024 at 4:50 p.m. Pacific. So it'll be happening a little before 8 p.m. Eastern time. And full moons are always endings. This does not mean breakup or a goodbye necessarily, but it does mean a chapter is finishing, and often that can be a celebration or a party or a high point. So it depends on the chart and the meaning of the full moon. Scorpio, the moon is fallen in Scorpio. So the moon does have a more challenging position in Scorpio automatically. Is this bad? No. Does it show hard mode? Yes. So the moon is emotional and shows feeling, and Scorpio is ruled by Mars, a planet of war and aggression, and it's a water sign. So it's very volatile and very up and down for emotions. So when there's a full moon in Scorpio, it tends to be a very emotional moment and something that is maybe cathartic, maybe just really painful, depending on the configuration. Doesn't mean that if you have the moon in Scorpio, you're cursed. It depends on several things, but automatically it means a little bit more, or it means hard mode. This is happening in the first decan of Scorpio, or the first third of it, and the decans help describe a little bit more texture. So full moon of Scorpio is automatically going to be an emotional release, usually quite painful or at least meaningful. And the first decan of Scorpio is associated with the Five of Cups tarot card, which is known as the Lord of Disappointment, because it's usually showing that you got what you wanted and it was not what you wanted. You achieved something and you did what was necessary to get that, and you feel empty at the end. So it does show that you did get somewhere, but you're looking back now with a mix of like satisfaction that you got there, but dissatisfaction at the feeling. And full moons are always when the sun is opposite the moon. It's full, the light is reflecting in whatever the fuck the signs is. So the sun is then in the first decan of Taurus, which is associated with the Five of Pentacles tarot card. And this tarot card is called the Lord of Worry because it is rarely talking about an actual event and more about the indecision and fatigue and worry and anxiety about what could happen. So it's a decision. It is something that you're thinking of. And these two kind of areas combined is highlighting that there's probably something that you've achieved that is now requiring you to make a decision, and you're really worried about what that means. You're at a point where you need to let go of something and you need to make this decision because you see where it's going to lead you if you keep going down this path from what you have achieved now. This full moon is squaring Pluto in Aquarius within 2 degrees. It's a very close square to Pluto. And squares to Pluto show challenging transformation. A square is challenging and it shows nagging and like this building up need rather than front on, like you got to deal with it. It's more of this nagging need. And Pluto is the planet of transformation and catalyst and drama. So it might feel like you were backed into a wall to transform, but it does show a definite change mentally coming out of you from this. Now, the good thing about this is that happening alongside it is the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Jupiter is positivity and abundance, and Uranus is breakthrough, innovation, disruption, and kind of like lightning breakthrough moments. So the two together shows that in general, there's an air of breakthrough and insight, although this does not seem relevant to this full moon. But in general, there's an air of abundance and positivity that helps mitigate how, kind of difficult this full moon itself is. Mercury retrograde will be conjunct the North Node in Aries. It's not the end of the world that there's a Mercury retrograde, but the North Node highlights that, and the North Node exacerbates things. So it shows that miscommunications or people willingly misunderstanding you and logical troubles communicating is going to be a huge theme during this, and maybe the driver for why something cannot continue on. I would avoid communicating on anything life or death and literally saying that you have to wait a week. Venus is going to be conjunct Chiron in Aries, and Chiron is an asteroid of vulnerability and being triggered and touchy. It's not bad, but with Venus conjunct Chiron, the relationship dynamics at this time are like really, really personal and very triggered. And it's showing that people are very, very sensitive and they're bringing up literally the trauma that they experience. Like this is like very I don't want to say it's traumatizing in a big T way, but it's traumatizing in a little T way with this happening. Now, Mars is also going to be conjunct Neptune in Pisces. So Mars in Pisces is already a little bit more of a spiritual warrior rather than a front-on, mean, aggressive warrior. And Neptune is a planet of spirituality and faith and transcendence. So it adds this spiritual warrior energy of not being directly aggressive. So it feels like our decisions might be made on this moral crusade and are much more about us fighting possibilities, fighting fears, and fighting worries rather than fighting people. But the miscommunications come from how anxious or delirious we are. Saturn is near Mars and Neptune too, which definitely adds seriousness to this and a little bit more grounding, but it shows unclear boundaries, it shows moral conviction, and it shows that what we're fighting here is probably not actual people, but rather the fear of a delirious fear of where things could be headed. So it's definitely time to rip the Band-Aid off of a pattern or a relationship or a dynamic that you're glad you achieved but can see where it's headed. And just know that your worries are probably worse than what will happen, but they're important to signal you leaving this dynamic. So if you already have any thoughts or feelings about this full moon, definitely let me know down below and tell me how you're feeling about it, because it's definitely pretty action-packed. So this is what it means for you based on your rising sign. We're going to run through what it means for all the signs. So Aries rising, this is in your 8th house of finance and investments. You're probably letting go of a debt, commitment to someone financially, or an asset that is just not worth it. If you're a Taurus rising, this is happening in your 7th house of committed relationships and partnerships. So this very well may mean there's an ending, a breakup, a letting go, or something you have to part from in close relationships. If you are a Gemini rising, this will be in your 6th house of health or people you work with. So you're either letting go of something that is like wellness, exercise, diet-related routine, or you are letting go of people that work for you or around you. If you are a Cancer rising, this is in your 5th house of dating or romance. You're probably either having a literal celebration about something you've made creatively, or you are letting go or having an ending of some kind romantically. If you're a Leo rising, it's in your 4th house of home or family. So you're probably moving or having an ending or falling out with family. If you're a Virgo rising, this is in your 3rd house of day-to-day productivity, tasks, communication, and content. So you're probably either releasing or ending something that you've been working on with writing or content. If you were a Libra rising, this is in your 2nd house of income and money. So you're probably either selling something or spending significantly on something that you're just trying to pay off, end off, get rid of, and end a financial chapter. If you're a Scorpio rising, this full moon is in your 1st house of self. So this is all about you. Breaking out of your shell, saying something, doing something that liberates you, and removing yourself from a dynamic or an identity that feels like you just cannot stay in it. If you're a Sagittarius rising, this is in your 12th house of mental health or spirituality. You are probably getting rid of an addiction or a bad habit, or you are having a spiritual difficult breakthrough. If you are a Capricorn rising, this is in our 11th house of networking, friends, or groups. You're probably cutting ties with an organization or a social group. If you are an Aquarius rising, this is in your 10th house of career. So this is showing leaving or ending something to do with your job. And if you're a Pisces rising, this is in your 9th house of education or travel. So you're probably either having something end with college or university, or you are ending something related to being out of the country or extensively traveling. And to end things, the tarot card that we have here for this full moon in Scorpio is the 8 of Swords. So literally the 8 of Swords is the cards of decision paralysis. This guy is bound up. He has all these ideas and he's bound from picking one. Literally shows indecision, like you're backed into a corner. So do be aware that this is something you're probably not going to decide until the moment of. If you enjoyed this, not necessarily the alignment with the video, do give me a like and a comment and a subscribe and all the things. It does help me out and I appreciate it. So thank you. Much love. Hope that you have an awesome full moon and I will see you in the next one.
There is one thing